Hey everybody, we're here with episode 4 of the WAM Pod. I'm Renee DeFreitas, and I'm here with Women in Ministry at Southwestern Assemblies of God University. And in the studio we have Desiree Fernandez.
Hi everyone.
And Nina Cáceres.
Good morning.
So welcome to the WAM Pod. Here we are, episode 4.
Woo! Episode 4. Thanks everyone.
And today's episode is absolutely exciting because this is a very special episode for the men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. So usually we're talking to a woman audience, but today we want to talk to everybody.
Yes.
Both women and men in ministry. And we have a special guest with us today. But before we get to our special guest, since this is all about the guys, we need some guy talk. This is for our guys on campus. All right, how about those Cowboys?
Woo! Yeah.
No, they're not doing very good. You girls were not ready for this. Okay, well, let's try baseball. We're in the World Series.
Yeah.
This week in the World Series. Do you know who's in the World Series?
Isn't it the Royals and the Mets?
You are right.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
You got it. Well, I happen to know because my family's absolute crazy baseball fanatics. And if I don't care, it's okay because I feel like I live with an ESPN sportscaster. Brother Nelson is constantly telling me what's going on with the baseball stats and everything like that. And I should really pay attention. I try to because I love him. Yeah. And I love all the boys in my house. And I'm pretty fanatic about this, you know what I'm saying? So, because I have a lot of guys in my house, I gotta care. Mm-hmm. So, do you care, Nina? It's the Royals and the Mets.
If there comes a day where I have to care, I will. She's being honest.
Nina's being real. All right, but we do have somebody in the room that really does care. And that is Dr. John Davidson. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, it's so good to be here. I do really care about the Royals, too. They're my team. So.
He is a bona fide Royals fanatic, right? So you're going...
That's right. I used to live like 10 minutes from the stadium and go to games all the time, so this is the best time of the year for me.
You all are. Yeah. And how long has it been since the Royals have been in the World Series?
They were in the World Series last year. They didn't win. Before that, it was 1985.
Okay, that's right. They were last year.
So it's been a long time for Royals fans.
So this is the year they went. Last year they were warming up.
Nobody wants to lose the World Series 2 years in a row, so we're hoping this is our year.
This is your year. We'll believe for it. We're rooting for it. You know why? We have to root for the Royals because...
Oh, yeah, Dr. Clarence saw, right?
He is a Royals fan.
He's a Royals fan.
He's for real. So we're going to root for the Royals. Anyway, Dr. Davidson, thank you for being with us here on the One Pod podcast.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. And today we are talking about... We're talking about women in ministry, but we're talking about women and men in ministry and working together. And before I get into that, I should tell everyone that you are the Director of Discovery and Development for the Church Multiplication Network, but that's part of your title. You're also over the Women in Ministry organization for headquarters.
Right, yeah. So the team that I serve with helps to oversee the Women in Ministry department for the Assemblies of God nationally, and so we're daily working with women and those who are working with women across our fellowship in the Assemblies of God. So it's a great privilege to be able to work with women and men.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we're also privileged to have you as part of our faculty for the D-Min program here at SAGU. Yeah, so anyway, as we talk about the subject, I wanted to ask you, Dr. Davidson, what can a woman bring to the table in ministry that's particular for us?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that women bring to the table that men can't or usually won't bring to the table. Of course, there's a lot of areas of overlap for men and women in our skill sets and gifts. But one of the things over the years that I've seen women bring to the table that I guess is the first thing to come to mind, maybe because it's the most natural, is that I think that God created women a little more nurturing and, we know the motherly aspect of women. And so a lot of times women bring that to the table at times and spaces where men don't or won't. And that's very attractive, I think, because God's called us as pastors specifically. God's called you into a nurturing business. You know, the shepherd, the pastor, is a nurturing position. And it's interesting that men are the primary ones that fill that position when women often are more nurturing than men. So I think women can bring that to the table. And I think this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but in a day and age where so many people grow up without a father, there's the tendency to say, well, people need really strong male role models, and they absolutely do, because so many people, stats say now over 50% of people grow up without a father in the home. But the other side of that is, that means the majority of people are growing up with their primary authority role in the home is a woman.
Yeah.
So I think it actually could open the door for people to be more comfortable coming into a church or a ministry environment and seeing the primary authority as a woman, because that's what they grew up with.
Yeah.
Whereas, 50 years ago, seeing a woman in a position of authority was just something that just really didn't happen in any sector of society.
Right.
But now they grow up with that, and so I think more and more people are comfortable walking into a church where the woman is the pastor, or any other ministry setting, like I said, because that's normal for them. Unfortunately, that's how they grew up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And, I think it's really important that, a lot of times men are the ones that open doors for women in ministry. So how would you say that men can facilitate the role of women in ministry?
I think this is one of the biggest questions that we have to deal with in ministry right now. For men specifically, and I think men and women both need to understand it, that because ministry has been dominated by men for so long, men really have a responsibility and an opportunity to open the door for women to be involved in ministry. So men have the opportunity to either close the door or open the door. And in a lot of cases, we know men close the door. And so I've always felt it was one of my responsibilities to open doors for women in ministry. So,
Awesome.
One of the things that we can do, that men can do for women, and this seems so simple and obvious, but we got to hire them. We got to hire them.
Yeah.
So, we don't have a shortage of women who are attending Bible school or getting degrees in ministry. That number is increasing drastically all the time. And last year, I don't know if you guys know this, but last year in the Assemblies of God, there were more women credentialed than men.
Wow.
So what that tells us is there's this really upward trajectory with the number of women who are wanting to get into ministry, but having a ministry degree and being credentialed in the Assemblies of God is not the same as actually doing ministry.
Yeah,
there's a gap there
Okay.
where you have to, get your education, get the credentials, but then there's a gap between there and actually getting into ministry, and that's where there seems to be a drop-off. So there's still a little bit of a glass ceiling there, probably a lot of a glass ceiling, where we've got to break through. And men have to do a better job of opening the door for women, and that comes with just being willing to hire. And there's a lot of issues that go along with hiring that are just different, than issues that you deal with men. So men have to be able to open the door and be willing to open the door.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, I'm really interested in working with church planting. As a man and a leader in this field, what do you think about women as church planters?
I think we need more and more women as church planters, in the same way that I think we need more Hispanics, we need more African Americans, we need more men, for that matter. we need more of everybody, So in order for us to really reach the population that God has given us to reach, it's going to take all of us.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
So the question is, why would we leave, to go back to how we started this podcast in athletic terms, why would we leave people on the bench? We say we're all on the same team, but in reality what we're doing is we're leaving a lot of women on the bench and we're not letting them play. Why would we do that when you have people that are really skilled and it's going to take all of us? We need to empty the bench. We need to put everybody on the field and let them play. And I think that women can reach populations that men can't reach. And, I get to travel all over the country and hang out with men and women both who are church planters. I'm seeing women who are doing amazing jobs. I have a friend who is a church planter, a woman. She's a church planter in California, and she planted a church a few years ago. I was with her the other day, and she told me she's just getting ready to open her second campus, and she's sending out a woman from her campus who will pastor the next campus. So
That's great.
she's raising up. She's a female church planter, which is fairly rare.
Yeah.
But she's made it her goal to raise up other female church planters, and so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's going to take that, but it's also going to take men who are willing to raise up female church planters and invest in them as well.
Yeah, I love that analogy of leaving people on the bench because, like you said, there are different gifts and everybody needs to play. Yeah. And the body of Christ is really working as the body with each of us using our gifts.
Right.
That's so good.
So going back to like women being a leader of a church plant or a church, why are some men uncomfortable with that? And like, what are some things that women should understand about the gender?
Yeah, so I do think there's a lot of men who are uncomfortable with women as leaders still. You think it's 2015, guys should wake up to this and be okay with it. But there's still a lot of guys out there that are uncomfortable with it. I would say that there's a growing number of men who are comfortable with it. So one of the things that women should understand about this, I think from a guy's perspective, is I've encountered some women who it feels like they live with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They live angry or whatever because they haven't been given opportunities. I would say that is the absolute worst thing you can do as a woman. So as hard as it may be, stay upbeat, stay positive, because no one will give you a shot if you come across as mean or bitter or whatever. So that is the thing that will absolutely drive guys crazy. So, but guys want to be around somebody who's upbeat and positive, and so don't get upset. Just keep pressing forward. I know it's difficult sometimes, but women need to understand that men are kind of weird.
We do know that.
Okay, you know that. So if you start from that basis of understanding, then you know that guys are a little strange to begin with. So just be patient with us and give us an opportunity. There are people like me. Who certainly don't have all the answers, but I'm out there talking to guys all the time about this, trying to raise awareness and get guys to be more comfortable with it. And, it's interesting, if we're in the middle of a presidential election season right now, and you look at the debates, there's women on the stage, especially on the Democratic side. Hillary Clinton is for all practical purposes, the leader of the Democratic field. So we're living in a day and age where, women, it's weird, like women can do anything.
Yeah.
Except pastor at church in some cases, and so I think the church has got to catch up.
Yeah,
and we will. It's taking just taking a lot of time.
Yeah. Sure.
So just be patient with us.
Yeah,
we're trying.
Well, we're excited about the vision that we are seeing more and more with, and not only women stepping up to the plate, but men saying, "Yeah, come on, step up, hit that home run, right?
Right, yeah.
We need that. Because hey, it's the World Series.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's encouraging to know, especially encouraging to know from people in leadership like you, Dr. Davidson, and your role. And I know that I didn't mention this, but you have a beautiful family.
Yeah. I have a wife, Lynette, and 2 kids. My son is 9 and my daughter's 11. So it's a fun time for us. And so we get to live in Springfield, Missouri, but Southwestern and the Dallas area really feels like home for us.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time on the road and talking about church planting, but also talking about things like women in ministry. And can I say one more thing about this?
Please do.
Okay. So I think one of the things that I meant to say this earlier and I just kind of skipped past it, but when I was in the local church, I had the opportunity to hire women and men for different ministry roles. And I felt like it was really a privilege for me and a responsibility for me to put women in positions of leadership. And I served at a great church where there were a lot of women who were on staff as pastors. And not the senior pastor role, but a lot of other pastoral staff roles. Executive pastors and a lot of our department leaders were women. And so in the process of hiring women, one thing that I discovered was that there's things that men have to think about when hiring women that sometimes you don't have to think about when you're hiring men. And that's just kind of the practical side of women in ministry that doesn't get talked about a lot. Yeah. So there's sometimes that men would say, I would love to hire a woman, but, she's got kids in school.
Yeah.
So she needs to be off by 3 o'clock in the afternoon to go pick up her kids from school. Well, you don't typically have to deal with that with a man.
Yeah, you can't. You
and
have that expectation.
The expectation is that the man will work 8 to 5 all day while his wife goes and picks up the kids or whatever. So many times when we're hiring women, there's these things that we got to think about, that she's also a wife, she's also a mom.
Yeah.
And so she has other responsibilities, and I would say, God-given responsibilities.
Right.
And so the question is, are men going to help to work around those things? Are we going to be flexible with those? So for instance, one lady that I hired, she was working for me part-time. We transitioned her to full-time, but she still only worked in the office 3 days a week. And she did a lot of work from home to be able to facilitate the other things she had in her life as a wife and mom. So then the questions that rise to the surface are, how can you pay her full-time when she's only in the office 3 days a week? But you got these the guys that you're hiring, you expect them to be in 5 days a week. So it's like, this seems unfair. And at the end of the day, it is unfair. And but we have to get to a point, I think, where we say that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that everybody's working different. And at the end of the day, here's what I always told people. This lady that I'm thinking about in particular, she brought so much to the table. She was so powerful that she could do as much in 3 days in the office as most guys could do in 5 days in the office.
Wow.
I said, I'm happy to pay her full-time plus benefits plus whatever.
Yeah.
Even though she's not around, because I know she's going to get the work done and she's going to do it excellently. And so I think it's going to take more guys
That's good.
doing those kinds of things, saying, we'll be flexible, we'll work around other things happening in your life. We just want you on the team because you're that valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. We know you're the one that you're the pitch hitter. You're the one that gets up there and gets that home run when we really need it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I'm loving this baseball analogy. You've taken it way further. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for joining us
welcome.
today, Dr. Davidson. And I feel like we've all learned so much. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. That you probably want to tune into some other episodes as well. Sometimes it might help you get into the female mind. It's been really fun. So anyway, we'll be coming. Oh, we have one more question. We're going to go a little over than we normally do, but this is our signature question. If you could go back and talk to your 20-year-old self, Dr. Davidson, what would you say?
Okay, well, I would say this, that if I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self and tell myself anything, I would say, talk about the importance of self-care, taking care of yourself, how important it is, even when you're in college, when you're young adult, young professional, take care of yourself. So one of my favorite authors is a guy by the name of Parker Palmer, and he wrote in one of his books, he said, talk about the importance of self-care. He said, you got to take care of yourself because yourself is the only gift that God gave you to give to the world.
Wow.
And so if you don't take care of yourself, you have nothing to give. So when I was young, I didn't take care of myself. I got a little chubby. That's a code word for fat. I got a little chubby. I overate. I wasn't working out. I really wasn't taking care of myself. And truth be told, I wasn't taking care of myself spiritually either. And we know how connected all those things are, spiritual, mental, physical. And so if you'll take care of yourself, you'll be a better tool in the hand of God to be used. And sometimes, especially in ministry, we think we should deny ourselves, because what the Bible says, deny yourself, take up your cross and follow Jesus. So we say, well, I'll deny myself. I won't take care of myself. I'll give myself fully to ministry.
Yeah.
And that's not what the Bible's talking about.
No, not what he meant.
Not what the Bible's talking about. So take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, spiritually. Eat well, exercise well, go see a counselor once in a while and make sure your mind is right and your heart is right. Set up accountability systems in your life so that you're a healthy person.
That's good.
So that you can give yourself to the world.
Awesome. Perfect segue, because our next episode, we will be interviewing Kelly Hill, the director of the Garrison Wellness Center, and we'll be talking about faith and fitness. So that was perfect. So come back for the next episode. Talk to us on Facebook, on Blackbird. We want your questions. And we are women and men in ministry.
Yeah, we really
and
are.
We
really are.
thrive.